Well, my proposal is one that follows the recommendation made by the State Criminal Justice Council in that a regional jail facility be established in this region which would service the correctional needs for all of this area, the North Central Texas area. And my proposal was one of bringing a regional jail concept into being so that prisoners at the county level can be transferred to the regional facility as quickly as possible in an effort to deal with them meaningfully in terms of rehabilitation. Now, I've said publicly before, and I say it again, that I don't think the police department has a place in jail keeping activities. I think this is a correctional function, and I don't think police should be involved in it. And I would hope to eventually take the police department out of the jail keeping activity completely and be able to incarcerate people at the hopefully the county, and then be transferred from that point into the regional facility for some meaningful rehabilitative efforts.
I've also heard that the police department feels that maybe some of the syndicate people in Cosa Nostra have come to Tarrant County. So these heroin figures, to me, substantiate both of these accounts. One, that they're getting to the younger kids first. They're getting them on what to them is big money, and what to us is big trouble. And then maybe just the fact that if some syndicate people have come in town, this is what they're pushing, because of course that's where their money is.
Murray, that's quite a recrimination. Is there any indication, do you have any personal knowledge of any outsiders pushing heroin on the school campuses?
No, I don't.
Have you heard any talk of it?
Well, there's a difference in pushing heroin and pushing the other drugs. Because students tend to get their other drugs, the marijuana, the barbiturates, the hallucinogens, from other students. There are very few actual pushers of these drugs, but the ones that do push it do it on a very large scale. The heroin is a different situation. You'll find that they get little of this from other students, but most of the heroin is pushed and comes from the pushers. Also on the heroin, the fact that we found it mainly in the lower class and the lower grade levels seems to indicate that we have here a potential for a very quickly developing problem, because it's been shown that those who start on it usually continue it, so that as the years pass, it's going to be used throughout the grade levels. And of course, the younger ones will continue to use it unless we can do something to start now.
The garbage persons have garbage cans. They buy garbage cans, and then they're taken by the housing authority, and they're charged $2.50 to $5 to get them back. And many persons who don't have them are evicted because they don't pay for this extra charge. And the grounds are usually standing with water when it rains, because they are built in the first place in low areas. I mean, most of them in Dallas are in very low areas.
Have you taken up your problem with the housing authority, and what was their reaction, if you have?
The executive board met with Mr. Stevens last year in the fall, and he laughed in our face.
Department and taking everything out of the proposed future City Hall complex, but your office and the main administrative offices?
Yes, I would like to see a district concept fully utilized. This would require an additional district station in the downtown area being built or leased. This would move the line division functions into the district stations where it belongs, and would take out of the City Hall the need for a lot of police space, which was proposed originally. And the Chief of Police and his immediate staff, both technical and administrative, would be about the only police units left in the City Hall, and provide, being at the district station level, all of the line activities which is needed to take care of the police activities in the field.
What is the reason for your proposal of 3 grades below patrolmen that aren't sworn positions and the advancements above patrolmen?
Well, the 3 levels below the sworn level would be an effort on our part to attract people into police service not qualified to assume sworn positions, but again capable of performing certain police tasks that are now performed by regular police officers. It would bring about a recognition, first of all, on our part that there's less training and less of a selection matter involved in bringing people in to perform those tasks. Sworn people should be released from those duties and sent into the field where the police problem really is. And this would, again, attract people into police service not qualified for regular police service, and provide for them a means by which they could become qualified to move into regular police service after a period of time and after a degree of attainment not known before that.
In brief, since 1968, after we performed, we're paid by Dallas County and the machine's now property of Dallas County. We have gone on with our other business right across the country and selling our system. But for some reason, and this is the thing that I don't have answered today, is the continual harassment that I am receiving from the county clerk's office here in Dallas County.
Mr. Ellis says the reason he's doing it is because punch card systems are not accurate, that you don't get really a true accurate vote with them because of the cards being bent or people misunderstanding how to do it. Is it not true that some cards were damaged and thus some votes were lost or counted inaccurately?
Some ballots were damaged, Jerry, but there was no votes lost whatsoever.
Jerry, we don't know at this time. No one has come to us and said that this stock is bad and this stock is good. So at this time, we still don't know.
When do you expect to find out?
I'm sure that it'll come out here very shortly. Yes, I sure do, Jerry.
Mike, this has wiped you out, literally almost. Everything is gone. What do you do now?
Well, Jerry, we have to regroup, you might say. It has wiped us out. By coincidence, on our wedding anniversary of last week, our furniture was taken and our 2 cars were taken, and we were left with virtually no money. We had $30 in the house, and if it hadn't been for some friends here in Fort Worth, we wouldn't have eaten last week.
Well, I would first of all agree with that statement that you do not need college degrees for all police work. And that's the reason I'm proposing these 3 levels below the sworn level, so that you can bring into these positions people with less than a college degree, and they can perform these tasks very well. But in my opinion, with all of the complexities with which an officer is faced, with the demanding role of a police officer, it's going to eventually take a college man to be able to comprehend all of the problems attendant to his position. And I would hope that within 10 years we will be at a level or at a place that we can require an officer coming into police service to possess a college degree, a baccalaureate degree.
As a student, why are these kids using these drugs in the first place?
We can sit here till midnight and talk about that. There are lots of reasons. I guess the one that I have witnessed myself as being most prevalent is just wanting means of escape because of the problems in our society today. The political problems, social evils, social injustices, political injustices, whatever. They're just, fed up and they want to leave it. So they resort to some type of drug, or at least drug experimentation, to see if that's a way out.
Mike, you said a couple of times that you thought perhaps this was politically motivated because you're running for county judge against Howard Green. Exactly to what extent do you feel that may be true? Okay.
I like Dolly because I think Dolly's she's a warm, wonderful. Well, I like the theater. I like show business. I only wish that the younger people today that do come into the theater would like it as well, more than just for the money and the glamour and the excitement of it, and realize that the theater, as every other business, also calls for discipline.
Well, I think that in many cases, people's names affect them. Various studies have shown that people with very uncommon names have more trouble in school than people with common names. Now, of course, I like my name, Elsden, as a first name, simply because of Smith. If my first name was John or William, it would be no identification whatever. But with the name Smith or Jones or Johnson, you need an uncommon name.
I guess one of the things that our parents do for us that affects us most throughout our lives then has to be naming us. What kind of rules do you think parents should follow when they're naming their children?
Well, they should follow they should not take names that are too common or too uncommon. They should have a name that fits well with the surname. Particularly, it should fit well with the nationality of the person. If your surname is McGilligan, don't take Isaac as a first name.
and this is from the White House. President Nixon, who had, I said to him that even like with our show Dolly and everything, or anything I've done, the only thing is I got this plaque, this big one from President Nixon, but the only thing is I said, I'm 52 years old. I was appointed as a full ambassador of love. This is from President Nixon, Richard Nixon, President of the United States of America, to Pearl Valley, California. They have appointed me ambassador of love. I don't have my glasses on.
To the entire world.
To the entire world, authorized me all the duties, and as such should be.
Right.
And I said the only thing wrong with it's beautiful, and the only thing wrong with it is that God appointed me ambassador of love 52 years ago, and he's just about an inch behind him.
Right. What is the future of Pearl Bailey? Retirement, a book, or more musicals?
I think I would call it semi-retirement from the theater. Well, you know, Madam Ambassador can't be running around carrying on. But I am going to semi-retire. In fact, I have to slow down a bit even, with Dolly. I don't know how David's going to take it, but we've been almost 3 years. And in fact, I got the first script of Dolly in Houston, Texas.
Are there any particular factors that you could pinpoint which would maybe be the reasons for the condition as we see it today?
Yes, I think that they are twofold. Number one, the continuing building of the projects, which were, many of them started some 18 to 20 months ago, the finishing up of those projects, plus the fact that the overall economy is in a decline with the General Dynamics laying off and a few other plants along that line, which is adversely affect the influx of new residents into Tarrant County.
How has the tight money situation affected the buildings for the future, say the immediate future, in the next 18 months or so?
The conventional projects, which have been built so freely in the past, I would say from my own personal knowledge that probably 80% of those projects will no longer be built. A few of them that were already set up and a few of the large builders are, but that the overall projects are certainly will be built less.
I would say that's a continuing effort. I wouldn't want to say, I think we have focused on the problems that relate. I would say there are still what I term pockets of prejudice rather than it being as widespread. And I think I think industry is making tremendous strides with very effective recruiting programs.
You can't expect to end discrimination, can you, by laws or regulations?
No, laws and regulations, as I've used the word, can focus and encourage people, but no, you can't legislate, I guess you'd say, morality.
Then how will we finally, if we ever do, end discrimination in employment?
I think through responsible citizens. I think industry becoming aware of the needs of large numbers of people. There are many encouraging things happening in the field. I think more encouraging than discouraging. So I don't think you can work on a timetable. I think it's got to be part of a way of life.
I'm not here this afternoon as a rebel. I don't feel the least bit rebellious. I'm frightened. And I'm so frightened that I don't even know what to say. And I'm not usually at a loss for words. It's extremely easy at a time like this to make a lot of words, to pick on people that none of us likes too much, to find fault with other people who made decisions in fear and for who knows what other reasons. But those words are apt to be frivolous. The words that we speak have consequences. And I wanted to say some words that would have the right kind of consequences, but I don't even know what kinds of consequences I want. There's one thing I do know, and you all know it too, that we are a deeply divided society. We have lost the ability to talk to one another across some very important gulfs of the years and I know not what else. But we are a polarized society. And it's not going to do any good for us to talk to one another this afternoon. There's another very large group of people that we must be concerned to reach, to speak to. We've got to speak to what's come to be called the silent majority. And I don't know how we do that. The silent majority is made up of people like we are, subject to the same fears that we have known. Maybe they fear different things, but we're all afraid. We have lost the ability to communicate with one another by words and by touch. And when men lose this ability, they begin to kill one another.
I think the surveys and the advertisement which we see in the paper certainly are indicative that we're in a soft market. And a soft market means that we temporarily have possibly overbuilt the area, and that some of the projects are having problems and are offering some things which we don't particularly like.
They are becoming increasingly aware of it. As you know, in Philadelphia, an effort has been made, what is known as the Philadelphia Plan, to get labor unions to agree on a certain percentage that would be included on their rolls that would be eligible for employment.
Is there any hope for the critical unemployment problem we're facing today?
There's really not. I mean, the problem, there's not an unemployment problem right now. I mean, what is in Dallas, the percentage would be what, 2%?
I believe it.
And the same thing would be true in the Houston area, in Atlanta.
He fundamentally was a football player. His track was more or less incidental so far as Bob's interest was concerned. We recruited him as a football player, and we found out his speed in running wind sprints. But I used Bob as a running back, and we threw the ball some, and used him as a wide flanker, but fundamentally our team was a running team, and Bob loved contact, and we got good results out of it, both as a runner and as a passer.
There had been
receiver
perennially the problem of the track athlete making a success in the pros. Did you ever have any hesitation about him?
None at all.
I knew he was a good pass receiver. I knew he had the courage he was a good open field runner, and he had the desire that was necessary to play football, and it never was any question in my mind. I knew that the folks would come around to my way of thinking when the boy got a chance to perform. No, I wasn't surprised at all.
Well, I say that the increase in dues is vitally necessary for this organization to grow. If we're going to build a true professional organization for teachers, we've got to have the money to provide a professional staff which can provide the services that teachers are demanding in the next decade. Dallas is actually playing a game of catch-up, and in order to have the staff to get these services, we've got to have the money.
Most of the people that objected to the increase to 21 said that they didn't feel they were going to get enough services. Why do you feel this is so?
Well, I sensed this, that they were afraid that they would just be paying the money and wouldn't get these services, but I know that they can get the services if they will just provide the funds to this organization.
What would the money be used for this increase if it was increased to $21?
Well, with the increase, of course, additional personnel, such as an associate director, to do a lot of research, which is vitally necessary to an organization like this, to provide field assistance for assistants to go out into the schools to work on teacher grievances, to work on teacher problems. We just need an organization that will get out in the field and reach the teacher, and this hasn't been done in the past.
Coach Engel, the probability that Penn State and Texas might have met for the national title last year appeared possible there for a short time, but circumstances prevented it. There was much discussion about a college playoff. We've heard many people's opinions of an NCAA college football playoff. Would you favor that?
I really would, Vern. I think it would be a very easy way to do it, too. I think you could find out pretty well if you took the top teams in the 6 top conferences, the winner of each conference, and then 2 teams at large, independent teams. You'd really only have to play 3 times. And I think you could come up with a real champion, although the polls are good if you want to abide by the polls. And by the way, Texas won all the polls, so actually I think that was a little bit exaggerated, what was happening.
But you had to think possibly with your strong ties with Penn State that Coach Paterno and his flouting of the Penn State team was justified, don't you?
Yes, actually they had a great football team, and Joe has been doing a great job. He was my quarterback back at Brown, you know, and he came along down to Penn State as a freshman or as senior in college, and stayed with us, and he was really ready, and he's going to be one of the real great coaches of this era, and he's doing a real fine job. And had they played Texas, it depended on the day who might win the football game.